Oh, hello there. I didn't see you. I hadn't been on this channel in 6 millenniums, so didn't see you approach there because I don't know how to do YouTube anymore. But I'm MBZ and it's 2019 and E3 is upon us in 1 week. If my maths is correct, I didn't do maths after I was 16, so it's probably right, but I can't verify it. But here's the thing, right? There's so many questions about E3, the important questions, right? And everyone's saying, like, what will Animal Crossing look like? Is Fire Emblem gonna let you marry your students? Is that right? But I'm here to answer the more important questions, the throbbing questions, the questions that you all want to know. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about E3 2019 and the most important questions. Who is Doug Bowser? Okay, so here's the thing. Reggie retired, gone, dead, no longer Nintendo. We don't acknowledge his existence. He's gone, kaput, burned. He doesn't exist anymore. The future now, though, is Doug Bowser. Who really is Doug Bowser, right? Because we haven't had much of a chance to really get to know the guy, okay? So he posted that photo when he joined and started at Nintendo. The interesting thing about Doug Bowser is that he went into a role that was initially the role that Reggie had when he joined the company, which at that point in time, people probably should have been paying attention to the fact that they were grooming a new successor. And now, of course, he's taken on the mantle of being the head of Nintendo of America, the president / CEO, though COO I believe is the actual title, because of course when Iwata went through some changes with the company, he made it so that he was the joint CEO of both America and NCL. But hey, that's business nonsense for another time. For now, I want to know about Doug Bowser, because really, we've only seen him a couple of times in terms of public appearances. We know him from the photo that he posted with Mario and Luigi tied up behind him when he first joined, and also he was there at the launch of the Switch to hand over the first Switch unit sold in the New York store. But outside of that, we really don't have a real idea of who Doug Bowser is and what he does and what kind of a person he is, right? It's very hard to follow in the footsteps of someone like Reggie Fils-Aimé, who was this giant character, this charismatic man who just oozed passion and business, and he was a PR machine, but he was also someone who ignited a passion in the fan base, who had memes, who had so many things surrounding him. And does Doug Bowser inspire that same attitude? Will we find out at E3? The question really is, does he show up? Now, I believe that at the Treehouse we'll probably see him in bits and pieces. He'll probably be, talking to some folks, but will he be in the Nintendo Direct is the real question. Is this going to be a Koizumi joint, or is this going to be a Doug Bowser joint? It is an American press conference to the degree that E3 is an American media event, but of course in the past we've had some crossover and mixing about. Reggie has of course featured in many of the E3 Nintendo Directs, but will this be the time for Bowser to shine? Will there be a stupid skit of him transforming into an actual Bowser? Are we going to get a bit of his character showing through? Will we learn more? And this is my first question: who is Doug Bowser, and will we find out? And I want to know, because honestly, there's been a huge hole left by Reggie, and can it be filled? Does it even need to be filled? Does he have to do a similar thing, or is he going to be his own man? Is he just going to be a business dude who sits in the background, lets things happen, and kind of, toys with the puppets, does the machinations? I guess we'll see if he shows up or not. Just what is in Phil Spencer's wardrobe? So we have a history at E3 of t-shirts, right? You've got my man Sean Layden, who rocks up in Crash Bandicoot shirts unannounced, making people stir up in a frenzy thinking that an announcement is incoming, and yet then it doesn't happen until the next year. Or showing up in a medieval shirt, or some other long forgotten obscure franchise, something like Vib Ribbon, a game which he was heavily involved with. But Phil Spencer loves a good t-shirt. He's a big fan of changing t-shirts even mid-show during the Microsoft press conference. Whether he struts out in a capybara or in a Rare Replay t-shirt, anything is his game. Now here's the question. What happens if Phil Spencer walks out in a Banjo-Kazooie t-shirt? What does that tell us? Does that tell us anything at all? Does it tell us That maybe within the Microsoft press conference we will have a Nintendo appearance. Will someone else walk out also wearing a Banjo-Kazooie t-shirt? Will they then do the Dragon Ball dance and fuse into one and become Banjo-Kazooie and dance live on the stage for us and perform? Of course, this is fantasy, but it could be reality because E3 is about dreams and hype, my friends. But what it really means, of course, is the Nintendo-Microsoft crossover we've all been asking for. Does Phil Spencer walk out in a Mario t-shirt? Does he announce to the world that yes, we are friends and best buddies, and Microsoft and Nintendo want to do things together? They want to do nasty things to each other. They want to work with each other to build an empire that cannot be toppled. And this is the dream, right? This is what we want to see. Is it possible? Who knows? But what is possible is that Phil Spencer will wear a t-shirt. I can guarantee it. Will Miyamoto score an Ubisoft hat-trick? Now here's some history for you. Miyamoto has appeared at the Ubisoft press conference for 2 years in a row. The first year, of course, after Davide Soliani wept his tears of joy, the fact that this great creator that he aspired to be and was inspired by stood up on stage and applauded him, said a good job for making Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. The year after, Miyamoto returns because Starlink, of course, a game that was doomed to failure otherwise, was lifted, nay elevated one might say, by the Star Fox franchise. And there he was on stage again, you know, holding up a big old toy of a Fox gunship that he kind of, you know, was excited about. And so he's been there twice in a row, 2 years. Now it's also been time enough for the Mario plus Rabbids team to probably have cooked up some other thing, right? Like that's the most reasonable expectation. We get a sequel to that game. You know, it was very successful. They're probably, you know, going down the same route. They could do something completely different, you know, give them the Zelda franchise, like see what they do with that. They're already doing that with Cadence of Hyrule. We already have a Zelda crossover happening with an independent studio. And if they trust Ubisoft and they want to get the triple dipple, this is the time to do another Zelda crossover. There is, although, a lot of Zelda happening at E3 already, with Cadence of Hyrule alongside Link's Awakening. So here's the toppest of tippists of ideas that I have, ladies and gentlemen. What if the new Splinter Cell game is not merely a Splinter Cell game, but in fact a dynamic crossover between Miyamoto's favorite newest franchise that he invented merely a decade ago, Pikmin cross Splinter Cell. Yes, you know it is all meant to be. It makes sense. The Pikmin, tiny little creatures, they can approach situations so stealthily no one would see them. They're invisible to the human eye, minuscule, that's a word, and they could infiltrate, be stealthy. Like what if it's this crossover where you in the command center are commanding the Pikmin, and then you switch over to the Splinter Cell dude, you run around, you shoot some people. It's beautiful, you know, it's a great crossover. I think it's happening. This is why Miyamoto will show up for the 3rd year in a row at the Ubisoft press conference, mark my words. Will Bethesda say the word Fallout? This is a rough one. This is a rough one, you see. Todd Howard, he's not in a good place. He's not going to want to come out on stage and making jokes about, hey, I heard that people online said our games were buggy, ha ha ha. No, it's a bad look, Todd. Look, okay, people are going to boo you off stage if you do that, so please refrain from doing that, because I feel like there is an outside chance that Bethesda will have people booing at their press conference. Well, okay, here's the thing. They usually invite a lot of influencers, a lot of people in the press. Press are not going to do that. Press don't get involved in cheering or booing. Far too professional for that, right? But you got the influencers there. They're all paid to be there. You know, they're having a good time. They pay only the best Bethesda fans to be there. Obviously, all the Bethesda people are going to be in the crowd, so probably a likelihood of booing is at a minimum. But what if he says the word Fallout, right? What if Pete Hines comes out and even invokes the word Fallout? It makes one question, you know, what is the response? Because Bethesda have come under heavy fire. They, you know, not only with Fallout 76 being just a complete unmitigated disaster on every front, but the Elder Scrolls Blades coming out and being an awful mobile game with heavy microtransactions and just not very engaging gameplay on any level. They're not in a good place, Bethesda. They do have Doom Eternal, which is good. It's a demon-destroying game in which people will have a lot of fun and tear and rip and etc. But aside from that, and say Wolfenstein, what is it that Bethesda's going to do? Are they going to talk about it in any way? And if they do, what is the reaction? I want to know if Bethesda will say the word Fallout. Well, there you go. Those are the questions that I want to know the answer to about E3 2019. Tell me the questions you want to know the answers to. Maybe we'll get answers. Who knows? It's all about hope and dreams. And maybe those will be answered. So yeah, well, I guess I'll see you at E3, and we'll see what happens. Till then, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Testing, 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 test.